Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to today's training session. My name is Mbeki Ndlovu and I'm part of the EVDS program management team and will be delivering this training today to you with some assistance from I hope my two other colleagues will be joining soon in terms of making sure that everything goes according to what we've prepared here. So I want to confirm if you can see my PowerPoint slides. Can someone confirm? Crystal, can you confirm that you can see the PowerPoint slides?
Yes, we can see it. Thanks, Mbeki.
Okay, I'm going to proceed now. So today's training is on-site EVDS training with special focus on patient administrator role, vaccinator role, as well as the back capturing administrator role. So we're going to take you through those particular roles. Now, the agenda of what we aim to cover during this particular training exercise is that we want to make sure that we cover the introduction and welcome, which I believe we've covered. And then we'll talk about the EVDS overview, the EVDS data workflows. And then we'll be an opportunity for question and answer before we proceed to system demo. After the system demo, we'll have an opportunity for question and answers again. And then we'll talk about the user support package, which is post-training materials that you can access. We'll talk about how you access those and what those materials are. And then the last part will be the troubleshooting part, where we talk about what to do in case you come across some challenges. So what are the objectives of this particular session? The objective is that of providing an overview of what EVDS is about and to demonstrate your role as patient administrator, as vaccinator, as back capturing administrator. We trust that this training session will provide you with the knowledge and skills that should enable you to confidently interact with the EVDS and making sure that you complete the tasks that you need to complete. I've given an indication that there is support materials that you can access after the training has ended. It helps people to remember the processes and to have something to go to in case you're stuck sometimes. And of course, there will be question and answer moments to clarify some points and to just hear some participants' views as well. Some ground rules as we get started. We would like this training to be as engaging as possible and try to stick to the time that we've budgeted for the session. It's not supposed to exceed more than the 2 hours that we've budgeted. And we encourage people to respect and to listen to each other's views and questions so that everybody gets clarity on processes that we're about to take you through. And this being a virtual platform, we encourage you to use your mute button to prevent echo or noise disruption into this platform. We also advise that people must type their question into the chat platform. If you go to the chat platform of this meeting, you can type in a question or comment there. And when we take some breaks in between sessions, we'll attend to those questions and try to provide answers as much as possible. And we also encourage people to avoid anything that can distract their attention so that we can have full attention and full participation as we deliver this training. Now, the starting point for us is for everybody to understand what EVDS is about and it's always a good thing to give a background so that everyone understands what makes up EVDS. Now, what is EVDS? EVDS is an acronym for Electronic Vaccination Data System. And the EVDS aims to provide an authoritative registry to track various COVID-19 vaccination metrics towards the control of the pandemic. And what are the characteristics of this system? It's an officially adopted centralized digital system. It allows us to capture all vaccination events occurring at official vaccination sites. It provides data analytics through built-in business intelligence to monitor and to report. Now, who are the users that are found on the EVDS? We have a number of users that are found on the EVDS ecosystem. On this left-hand side, on the left-hand side, and at the bottom of this particular slide here, we can see some of the users with different color codes. Different color code. Each color represents a particular component of the EVDS. At the top here, the orange color represents users that belong to the registration and scheduling component of the EVDS. And then the yellow color, which is next here, represents master facility list, also known as MFL. So these are the users that you find there. And then the green color represents on-site EVDS users. And this is where we find our patient administrator, our vaccinator, as well as our back capturing administrator. So this green color is of particular interest because our training specifically focuses on the green component. The fourth and final component of the EVDS is the information center, represented by the users with the purple color. Now, what are the functions and benefits of this EVDS? With the functions, we say that the EVDS allows us to assign vaccinees with their site, date, and a time slot for a vaccination. It also allows us to capture data such as patient information, safety information, and details of vaccine sites. It records progress, reconciles payment, forecasts supply demand, and allows for standardized processes, which means there are no third-party workflows that are permitted. On the benefit side, EVDS ensures consent is given before a person receives a vaccine. It drives efficiency and quality, assesses liability and any other risks, ensures equitable access, protects data, provides an input into other systems such as supply chain management and the NICD, provides live monitoring of coverage, effectiveness, safety, and durability, streamlines budget allocations, and reduces vaccine wastage. So this particular slide tries to summarize for us what EVDS is about. Now, from a high level EVDS process, there are about 6 steps that we need to understand and know. Step number 1 is when members of the public register for the vaccine. And there are 3 ways to do that. You can use WhatsApp, you can use a web link, and you can use USSD. And that information is also found, the specific information about how to register is found on the SA coronavirus.co.za website. Now, once members of the public have registered, the next step is the registration gets to be confirmed with SMS notification supplying vaccination code with vaccination site date and time. And once that step is done, the next step is here. It's step number 3. When a patient arrives at a health center and they meet a patient administrator who confirms and updates information that's on the system, because at this point the patient or the vaccinee presents identification and those details gets to be verified and confirmed. Once that is done, step number 4, the vaccinee gets to meet the vaccinator, and the vaccinator completes the health questionnaire and obtains consent. Once consent has been obtained, step number 5, the vaccine is administered, and this event is recorded on the EVDS. Once that is complete, step number 6, the EVDS links with supply chain management as well as forecasting. So those are the 6 main steps that we need to be cognizant of. Now, what makes up the EVDS? What are the components of this EVDS that we're talking about? So there are 4 components, as I've indicated, but would like to talk more about what happens in each component. Now, here at the start, we have MFL, and that's the master facility list component. And what happens in this component is that there is facility selection, facility registration, facility curation and permitting, approval, activation, and deactivation of facilities. All of that happens in the MFL component. The next component is enrollment and scheduling. And what happens with enrollment and scheduling is there is self-registration, assisted enrollment, and system-generated scheduling. So those are the processes that happen in the enrollment and scheduling in the enrollment and scheduling component of the EVDS. We also call it mezzanine. The system on EVDS is sometimes called mezzanine because the platform is called mezzanine. Now, on-site EVDS, which is what we are about today, what happens in this component is there is verification of demographic details, there is capturing of health questionnaire, and there is administering of e-consent, and then there is capturing of vaccination events. That's the 3rd component. And the 4th and final component of the EVDS is the information center here at the bottom. What happens here is that there is data management, data governance, data quality, data analytics, data visualization, and data sharing. And most importantly, we can see that there are arrows here to show that there is transfer of data between components, facility details moving from MFL into the information center. They also move from the information center into enrollment and scheduling, the same facility details, and they also move into the on-site EVDS here, as we can see. And from on-site EVDS into the information center, we see demographics and booking details of vaccines. And we also see the vaccination events and data safety data, sorry. And then demographics and booking details also moving from enrollment and scheduling into the information center, as we can see. And this slide is about EVDS ecosystem data workflows. And it tries to show us what happens first and what follows. We can see here that on the far left side, we have our master facility list. And what happens here is that there is capturing and the managing of approved vaccination site details and permitting status. While listing the enrollment and scheduling component manages the vaccination enrollment through registration by self-registration using 3 different platforms that I referred to, or assisted registration at the vaccination site. So as these processes are happening, data gets to be pulled onto the Onsite EVDS, where there is the recording of the journey of the vaccinee who will receive a vaccine from the vaccinator registered on the EVDS at an approved site and on a specific date and time as well. So we can see that the direction is you start from this site moving on to the Onsite EVDS, but at the same time, we see here at the bottom that there is a constant movement of data between these components as shown by the arrows, and the information center uses the data from the data lakes for data analytics and reporting services and products. So in essence, we would like to say within the EVDS ecosystem, the key dependencies exist across components. The vaccination sites must be captured and approved before enrollment and scheduling can occur. The on-site EVDS roles must be linked to MFL-approved vaccination sites. On-site EVDS makes use of vaccinee registration details from the enrollment and scheduling component, and the information center is the layer used for data storage and reporting. Now, having tried to address what EVDS is about and the components that make up EVDS, now we can zero in on to the one component that is our focus today, that is the on-site EVDS. So the on-site EVDS data workflows is what we see on the slide. So it starts here with, as indicated, MFL database that is captured and pulled onto the on-site EVDS. Once facilities are in existence, the on-site EVDS processes begin with account creator and account approver. So you need to have an account creator and account approver in order for you to begin the process of on-site EVDS. So what does the account creator do? Account creator creates accounts that are linked to MFL approved sites. And examples of such accounts is patient administrator and vaccinator and back capturing administrator accounts. So once you've created such an account, the account approver needs to approve those accounts. And it's important at this point to highlight that the account creator and account approver must not be the same individuals. For governance reasons, it has to be separate individuals. Once an account has been approved and is in existence, such as the patient administrator account, what does the patient administrator do? They verify registration details using vaccinee identity documents. They also verify the appointments and medical aid details. And they rely on information that comes from the enrollment and scheduling. Remember, we say that if you want to be vaccinated, you need to register, and that registration process happens at the enrollment and scheduling component, where you provide your details, and then the system then in turn provides you a date, a location, and time slot. So when you get to the facility, the patient administrator will verify and compare those details. Once the patient administrator is done, the patient proceeds to meet the vaccinator. The vaccinator will again verify the vaccinate details and identity and appointment. And then once that is complete, the vaccinator will capture the health questionnaire and obtain consent, and then administer the vaccination. Once consent is provided, administer the vaccine as vaccinator. Once that is complete, the next thing that happens is that the vaccination event must be captured on EVDS. And at this point, it's important to highlight that the back capturing administrator also performs a similar role of capturing vaccination events. So at this point, the back capture or back capturing administrator is able to assist in the event that the vaccination event was recorded manually on some paper forms, that those paper forms can be given to a back capturing administrator who will then capture it onto the system. And the guidance is that the back capturing must be done within 24 hours. So once back capturing is done, or once the vaccination event is recorded on the EVDS, the second dose booking is triggered. That is if it's a 2-dose vaccination. But if it's a 1-dose vaccination, it means you've completed your primary schedule. Once the time passes, you will be allowed to receive booster doses. Now that will be the on-site EVDS data workflows. Now, some important notes on vaccine doses. The vaccination doses or vaccine doses that we receive can be put into 2 groups, right? So the first part is that you need to complete what is called the primary schedule. So, and then once you completed the primary schedule, what follows afterwards, the doses that follow afterwards are called boosters, right? So if you started with Pfizer, if you take the first 2 doses, which are supposed to be 21 days apart, it means you've completed your primary schedule. But if you are taking J&J, if you take 1 dose, your primary schedule is complete, right? And then what follows after you've completed your primary schedule is the boosters. Now, there is what is called heterologous boosting and homologous boosting. With homologous boosting, it means that if you started your primary schedule with Pfizer, you are going to continue to receive Pfizer for booster doses that follow. You just continue to stick with Pfizer vaccine. If you started with J&J, it means even for the boosters, you continue with J&J for all the boosters that you'll be taking. However, if you decide to change and take a different vaccine from what you started with, it's called heterologous boosting. It's something that is permissible, and it started last year in March. Now, other boosters are looked at in terms of whether you're an adult between the age of 18 and 49, or an adult 50 years and older, or immunocompromised adults. We have more details about this particular point on the next slide. Now, important to highlight that vaccination events that are done outside South Africa are now possible to capture on the EVDS. I'll demonstrate that when we get to the system demo. Now, let's talk about the additional booster doses for persons between the age of 18 and 49. And this is according to the National Vaccination Program Circular 1 of 2023, which became effective starting on Monday this week, that is the 30th of January 2023. So if you are between the age of 18 and 49, your primary schedule, if you started with J&J, is still 1 dose, right? And then after 60 days, you are allowed to continue with J&J or to take Pfizer. And then after 90 days, you're allowed to take J&J or Pfizer. And then after 180 days, you can take Pfizer or J&J. If you started with Pfizer, your primary schedule is still going to be 2 doses of Pfizer, right? First dose, second dose, 21 days apart. And then after that, 90 days, after 90 days, you will be allowed to take Pfizer or J&J. And then after 180 days, you can take Pfizer or J&J. So this is the guidance that came through that is effective this week, 30th of January, 2023. Now, if you are 50 years and older, it's still the same as the previous slide, except that the number of booster doses that you get is 1 dose more than the previous age group. So if you started with J&J, after 60 days, you're allowed to choose a dose. And then after 90 days, you're also allowed another second booster. And then after 120 days, so for the people aged 50 years and older, after 120 days, they are allowed a dose there. And then after 180 days, and then they get to receive the 5th dose. The same applies here with people with the same age group, starting with Pfizer. If you started with Pfizer, you start with your first 2 doses of Pfizer, 21 days apart, and then after 90 days, you can choose between Pfizer and J&J. And then after 120 days, the same applies. You choose between Pfizer and J&J. And then after 180 days, you are now allowed the 5th dose. And this 5th dose is what is different from the previous slide. You get to receive a 5th dose when you are 50 years and older. For the adolescents, that is 12 to 17 years old, nothing has changed there. You're still allowed to take 2 doses of Pfizer, and those 2 doses have to be 21 days apart. And at the moment, it's still only Pfizer. You can see that J&J is not here because Pfizer is the only vaccine that is allowed for this particular age group. Now, that takes us to the next slide where we talk about EVDS access control. Like I indicated, the first thing that you need if you're going to initiate on-site EVDS process is account creator and account approver. And if you want those particular roles, what you need to do is you need to fill in the on-site EVDS access control form. And then there is also a letter of accountability for account creator, and then a certified copy of your ID. Once you have this in place, you email those to this particular email address. It's hissupport@health.gov.za. And the subject line has to be account creator and account approver. You also state your province or your private sector group. If you're coming from the private sector, you need to state that you're coming from this private sector group that you belong to. Yeah, now it's important at this point for me to highlight that this process was decentralized, because if you send your email to, if you send an email to this address, it goes to national. However, it's possible that you can approach your province, you find out who's the provincial coordinator in your province, and they actually now have account creators for each province or district, and they're able to assist you in terms of creating patient administrator, vaccinator, and back capturing administrator for your facility, as long as it's within their jurisdiction. So it's going to be much quicker if you approach the province, because there it's easier for them to verify your details and your genuine existence. Now, things to know and to keep in mind while we are talking about this EVDS system is that a Section 21A15 permit is required for a site to store vaccines, right? You need to make sure that your device is recorded at the correct vaccination site. So I'm going to demonstrate what I mean by this. Each time you log in, you need to tell the system that I'm actually logging in from this particular health facility. For vaccinators, only register a vaccination on EVDS after you've administered the vaccine to the vaccinee. You can access EVDS by using the Chrome web browser. It's you get optimum functionality if you use the Chrome web browser, and the web address that you use is this one, evds.health.gov.za. The default password that's assigned to you when your account is created will expire in 72 hours. So you are supposed to access the system within those 72 hours. All patient details must be kept confidential. I think this one is a reminder for what every medical practitioner knows, the confidentiality of medical records. Information captured on EVDS will be used to monitor vaccine uptake coverage, to support planning and prioritization, to ensure vaccine safety, surveillance, and to serve as a vaccination record. You can access the manual by going to the help menu and looking for that help button. I think I'll show you how to do that when we get to the system. And then if you need help, you can either email the service center or lodge a ticket. So the email address is this one here. At the top, it says hissupport@health.gov.za, or you can go to this web address, that's where you log a ticket. So you log a ticket at hissupport.health.gov. The advantage of lodging a ticket is that you get to specify that your query is about this particular subject, and you also get a ticket number at the end of that submission. So much so that if you don't get a response within 24 hours, you can always make a follow-up. You can call the call center, and the call center number is this one here, or 800-029-999. And then you can follow up and find out the progress on the query that you have. So if you email the service center, you will receive a response within 24 hours. That's the commitment from the support desk. You will only have access to the functionality needed for your role. So if you're patient admin, the functionality on the system that you have is going to be different from that of a vaccinator or a back capture. So we just have to understand and know that particular fact. I'll try to show us that the differences when we log into the system. If you don't have internet connectivity or electricity, you can capture on paper and back capture on EVDS once internet or electricity is restored. Like I indicated, back capturing, the guidance is that it should be done within 24 hours. Now, in the recent past, we've had accounts, user accounts, EVDS user accounts, that is, being suspended because of suspicious activity that's happening on EVDS. So if your user account is associated with such activity, your account will be suspended. So number one, an abnormally large number of unique searches made from one account. So if the people that do monitoring of the EVDS observe this kind of behavior, you will be suspended. And then an investigation will have to follow in terms of understanding why that was happening. Number two, whether the searches are by ID number in ascending or descending order. So if we see that your searches follow a particular pattern such as ascending or descending order, then it means that would look suspicious. It's you would really expect people that have got ID numbers in their ascending order meeting at a particular health facility in that particular order. It's highly unlikely, so that would warrant an investigation. So number three, whether any information is being posted on EVDS or if information is only being retrieved. I think that one is clear. Number four, whether the searches are made with inhuman irregularity. Inhuman irregularity might be something to do with speed, to say how many searches can you do in a minute. If you can do 100, if it's observed that you've done already 100 within a minute, so that would be, I would imagine that it will be inhuman regularity, because it shouldn't be possible for you to do that. It could be that it's software or it's a machine that's sort of doing that. So accounts will be suspended if something. I'm just giving it as an example. I'm not saying that's what they're really looking at, but anything that will be considered inhuman regularity. Then number five, whether the searches take place outside the regular working hours or do not follow the normal bell curve pattern of visits. So if there is no alignment there, it raises questions. Number six, whether the searches are for patient outside of the areas associated with the account. So if you're always searching for people that are in Western Cape, yet you are in Limpopo, then the question is why. Number seven, large number of searches of unregistered patients. I think this one is straightforward. Number eight, getting information for fully vaccinated patients. We said earlier on that patient records are confidential. So if it's proven that you've been doing that, then you will be violating the rules and you will be suspended. Lastly, number nine, sudden increase in searches that does not correspond to increased number of vaccinations. So if this pattern is observed again, you will be suspended. This takes us to EVDS demo. And at this point, before I proceed to do the demo, unfortunately, if there were hands, I didn't see them. Maybe it's the opportunity now for me to check for hands. And let's just see. Okay, I expected my colleagues to have joined because they normally tell me if there's a hand. And I'm going to check the comments here. There is no question per se, and I don't see any hands. So at this point, I might be able to proceed to do the system demo. Okay, there's a hand. Mangalani, go ahead.
Good afternoon, colleagues. there's a question from the fraud side. Ne? They are saying, like from the previous slide, you mentioned that the account can be suspended ne? After a regular search for people from maybe different provinces. Ne? So let's talk about people who are residing in, like let's take is a vaccinator who's vaccinating in Gauteng, and then remember we are doing the door-to-door searches. And then this vaccinator is searching for people, like for in case, let me give example of where we are. She is in Vusimuzi here in Tembisa, and the majority of people there, they come from KZN and Cape Town. And she's doing those irregular searches for people of KZN and Cape Town. And then it gets suspended. Or maybe like, okay, how many searches before it get suspended? Is there any notification before it gets suspended?
Yeah, I knew that I might have to answer this type of question, but like I indicated, I'm not part of the team that's responsible for this particular exercise. I think what's listed there is what it's at a certain point was being considered as irregular activity on the EVDS. So I wouldn't know the number of searches that is the limit. And when you're suspended, an investigation gets to be done. And if you were doing your work and it was normal, your access will be restored. I think the process will be a fair process to be followed. But if it was something that was that you can't explain yourself, it means that suspension might be made permanent, because people won't just be removed unfairly. There will be an investigation, and you will have an opportunity to explain what was happening. I hope that should help. Crystal, you can go ahead.
Hi, Becky. Sorry, I just wanted clarity. You said you mentioned 24 hours after the vaccination. We're only allowed to back capture for vaccines 24 hours after the vaccination. Now, we have quite a few cases where patients are escalating vaccinations that weren't captured at our sites. They escalate this to the COVID-19 hotline, and then it gets to us at about a month later. We will then need to back capture those sort of requests. Will we be flagged for that?
I don't think you'll be flagged. I don't think you will be flagged. It's still going to be possible to capture vaccination events that happened beyond the 24-hour guidance. So the 24-hour timeline is what is recommended and expected of. But we also understand that there are some difficulties in some of the facilities, and it should be still permissible for you to do the capturing after that time. It is possible to capture after that time.
Okay, thank you.
Mangalani, are you okay? Because I see your hand is still up. Do you have another question, or you sorted now?
Afternoon, it's a follow-up question. And how long does the investigation take? I don't know maybe if you clarify that.
Unfortunately, I don't have that information. Like I said, I'm not part of that. There's a specific team that deals with that, and I'm not part of that. My focus, I'm part of the training team.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry that I'm unable to give you the specifics. I can see you want the specifics.
Yeah, because we're having a sister here that her account is being suspended, and then it's like in her team, she's the only person who's supposed to have the EVDS credentials. So we are worried. Hence,
No, you must call the call center. that 0800 029 999 number, you're supposed to contact the call center. In fact, it's much easier if you send, if you lodge a ticket or send an email and then follow up with a call. They will advise you and they will check for you and have your issue resolved sooner than later.
Thank you, Becky.
Okay. Right. I think I see that there were a couple of people that joined after I started. I posted an attendance register. Let me try to post it again. We need everybody to register. We need to have a record that people attended training. Right. So let me just quickly post that web link because I do not want to lose out on the record of people who attended training. So, right, I've just posted the attendance register again. So if you follow that web link, colleagues, you can provide your name, surname, phone number, email, and so on, all those details that are required on that form, and then submit so that we have a record that you attended training. So now I'm going to proceed to do the system demo. There will be an opportunity for questions at the end of the demo. So I'm going to now move on to let me share my screen. You can put your hand down, Mangalani. I'm assuming that you're covered now. Right. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Thank you. Once you apply for the role of patient administrator, vaccinator, or back capturing administrator, if you are successful, you will receive an email with a username and password. And then the last thing will be the web link that you must follow in order to open the system, the EVDS system, that is. So if you follow that web link, it's supposed to lead you to a page similar to the one that is on screen now, except that the one that I have here, it's written training, as you can see here in red letters. Why? Because this is a site that we use for training. It's 95% plus similar to the actual system, and it's more suitable for us to use when we do training. So once you follow that web link that is sent to you, remember we said the web address is evds.health.gov.za. If you type in that, it will take you to the on-site EVDS system. The web address here is different because this one is a training site. So, but as soon as you follow that, it leads you to a page similar to this one. And then you have to type in your username and your password. If it happens that you've forgotten your password, there is a button below the login button here. You can see this part. If you click on forgot password, the system will take you through some security questions where you need to, if you successfully answer those questions, you a new password will be sent to you, right? So it's important that you log in within 72 hours, and then you set your new password, and then you also set your security questions so that in case you forget your password, it becomes easier for you to recover your password. Now, I have my username, and I'm going to put my username and type in my password, right? So my password is a long password, right? Let's select login. Right, as soon as I log in, you can see that here at the top it says this device is not registered with a facility. Something that I mentioned earlier on. You need to tell the system where you're logging in from. And that particular process involves specifying the health facility where you're working from. So you can either search for a facility or choose a facility. So if you're searching a facility, you type in the name of that facility and then select search. If it's a long name, you just type in just a part of the name. And then you select search, it will bring up the results. And then out of those results, you select the correct facility. So in my case, I'm looking for Helen Joseph. So I'm going to type Helen. I'll just type Helen only and then select search. So every facility that has got the name Helen on them comes up on screen, but I'm going to look for Helen Joseph Hospital, which is this one. So once I've selected Helen Joseph, I can say set facility, right? So I'm not going to set facility now because I want to show you how to choose a facility. So if you're choosing a facility, you need to know the province and the district. So if you come here where it says choose a facility, you click on the small triangle here, it's going to break down South Africa into 9 provinces. And then we go to Gauteng, that's where you find Helen Joseph. The sub-district or metro, in our case, it's Johannesburg Metro. And then the sub-district, it's sub-district B. So I go to sub-district B. Here, the facilities that are under sub-district B are arranged in alphabetic order. And there is my Helen Joseph. After I've selected Helen Joseph, I select set facility. Now, the facility that you look for at this point is what we call the primary facility. If you are a facility that is linked to a main facility, it means that you're a secondary facility. You're not necessarily a primary facility. So if you are linked to another facility, chances are that you are a secondary facility. So you don't look for a secondary facility the way that I did. You first look for the primary facility. After you've set up your primary facility, like what I've just done here with Helen Joseph Hospital, I've set up the facility. You go on to specify the vaccine site. So here on this space, if you click here, there's this drop down. On this drop down, if you are linked to Helen Joseph, your name is going to be listed as one of the names on this drop down here. So in the case of Helen Joseph, we can see that there is only the vaccination site. So I'm selecting the vaccination site and select set vaccine site. Now, if you select the wrong vaccination site, it means that even when you are recording, even if you are recording a vaccination event on the system, your record is going to go to the wrong location. And when you prepare a report, as we're going to do at the end of this demo, if you do a report, which is basically a vaccination count report, you'll see that there is some information missing. And the reason will be because your record went into that vaccination site that you set up instead of the actual vaccination site where you're working from. Right, now that we've set up the system, it's now at the top here, it was saying the system, it was showing that there was no registration, but now we can see that we've registered with the Helen Joseph Hospital and the vaccine site is this one. We can now proceed to search for patients. So you can either use this button here at the top, or you can just click here where it says search for a patient. So if you click there, you can start to search for a patient. And when you're searching for a patient, you can search by number or you can search by appointment. So let's go to appointments. If you select appointments, by default, it selects today's date, which is 2nd of February. And then I can search for the appointments that are scheduled for 2nd of February here. But if I want to, if I was supposed to be at the health facility the previous day, I can specify a different date. Or if it was in January 15, I can say, okay, 01.15. You just specify the date that's provided by that particular vaccine, and then you select search. So if you select search on 15 January, everybody who was scheduled for 15 January is supposed to be listed here. But now, because this one is a training site, we can see there's no one here. It says no appointments. But in your case, the names of people that were scheduled is supposed to appear, and you select that name, and then you begin to verify their details. So since there isn't a name here, we can go to search by number. So if we select search by number, we need to know whether it's an ID number, a patient record number, or all other numbers. All other numbers meaning passport, driver's license, asylum permits, or refugee permit, whichever the case is, or birth certificates. All of these documents are recognized for the purposes of EVDS registration. So if it's those documents, you just select this one and then you type in the number here below. But in our case, we're going to use ID number, right? So I'm going to search for a patient. Let me look for an ID number that I can use. And let's see. Okay, let's try this particular ID number and select search. Right, so the search is done. We scroll down a little bit to see who this person is. We can see this is Malan. The ID number, date of birth, and their physical address. And we can see here under vaccination summary, this person has not received any vaccination. And we can also see that they are eligible. It says here is eligible. If a person is not eligible, you would see it here as well. It will say not eligible in red. So this one is eligible for Pfizer and is also eligible for J&J. And so what you do now, you want to see more details about this patient. So you click anywhere along this row, so that you see more details. Here we go. This is full name, date of birth, sex, ID number, vaccine voucher number. So it's normally vaccine code on the live system. Now, the important thing is that here on this left-hand side, the physical address, email address, cell phone number, all of them are visible right now. And the reason they are visible is because this is the first time we're opening the record of this particular individual. After you've opened and verified this record, you won't see the full email address. You won't see the full phone number or the medical aid number, right? So once you've confirmed the details, there will be some masking that will be introduced onto those details here, so as to protect the data. So right now, if I wanted to change, if somebody says my cell phone number has changed, the next thing that I can do is to go here where it says edit patient info. And by the way, right now I can only access this first two parts. This bottom part here of verified documents vaccination history, even when you try to click on this, you won't be able to access that information. Why? Because we need to first confirm the patient details. So as part of confirming patient details, we decide to edit information. You select edit patient info, and then you scroll down up to where you have got medical aid, and then we can see that this person specified that they are on discovery, but they didn't put the medical aid number, so we can assume that they've given us that number, and then we put it there. And then if we want to change the email address, we just delete this one, and then we type in the new email address. If we want to change the cell phone number, we can also delete this one and then put in the new email address. But in my case, I do not want to remove those. I want to just keep them. But once you're done and you've specified, I think this is optional, you can specify suburb, city, and postal code. And then you come here and say update patient details. So if you select update, it will tell you that it will show that this has been updated. The last part is confirming. So you check this box here. It says, I have confirmed that the patient info is correct and that the voucher number is this one. And then I'm going to, as soon as I select this confirm patient details, see what happens on the left-hand side. Right, it becomes this area which was grayed is no longer grayed. I can now check the verified documents. If I can now select that, I can check the vaccination history. It says no vaccination history here for that is in South Africa, and then vaccination in other countries also there is nothing, right? So as soon as we do that, it means if it happens that this person says, I received a vaccine outside South Africa, then you can capture that information. Remember, I did highlight that when I was presenting, that if somebody says I received a vaccine outside South Africa, let's say, for example, this individual received a vaccine in Europe or in Australia. So you go here where it says vaccination history, remember? And then under this part where it says vaccination history unconfirmed other countries, there will be a button which says add. So you click on add, and then it will bring up this dialog box here. The first question, did the patient present proof of the vaccination? You select yes. And then because you have the proof of vaccination, you look at the proof of vaccination, and then you specify the date that that individual received the vaccine. I've selected that they received it in 2021 in June. And which country? I said Australia, so I'll select Australia. And what vaccine did they receive? I'm just going to say they received Pfizer. And the next question, vaccine proof number. So we are going to have this vaccine proof number, and then we're going to select save. So as soon as I save, it says success there, and there we can see Pfizer in Australia, and there's the proof, vaccine proof number. At this point, I can save and exit as patient administrator because my work is cut out, but let me show you something. If you want the manual, remember we said you need to go over your name and then you go to the help button. Edit your profile, that's where you change your details. If you as an EVDS user wants to change your phone number, your email address, you go there, change it. But if you want the manual, you go to this help button. There you go. It's showing us the manual. You can actually save this manual, right? You can download it, right? Now, if you wanted to prepare a report at the end of the day or at the end of the week, as patient administrator, you have this button here for reporting. And this button is not available for vaccinator or back capture, right? So if you click on this button and you go to where it says facility reports, and then you go to this colorful button here, which is written vaccinations at facility in brackets vaccination count. You click on that. And then here you just specify the date range for the report that you're looking for. So we can specify that we need a report for, let's say, from the 1st of August in 2022 up to today. And then you specify which facility. I'm going to select our Helen Joseph. And then I'll select this button here. It says generate the report. So let's see how it goes. There we go. The system is generating the report. Once the report is generated, you can copy it as Excel or CSV or PDF or even print it if you like. So here is our report. We can see it's been done and completed. It's this one. Date requested, requested on this date, and the time is this one. And completed a few seconds later. We can see that. We need to view this report. You can delete or view, but let's go to view the report. And at the top of this report, we can see it's for this particular vaccination site. Remember, I said it's important to specify which vaccination site. You specify the primary site and you also specify the vaccination site. And then it also specifies this report is from 1st of August last year up to today. And the date that it was generated is today, 2nd of February. And here is more details about the facility and the report. And we can see that a total of 18 vaccinations were recorded during this period of August and February this year. So this is the sort of report, and you can copy it on Excel, CSV, or PDF. You can keep it on your computer. So that's how it goes with patient administrator role. At this point, you can delete the report if you no longer need it, but it automatically deletes, I think, after 3 days. And then we can go back to search for more patients. So if I select search, I can now look for another patient. I'm going to pause a little bit here and check if there is any hands or any comments before I proceed to talk about the vaccinator role. Okay, let's see. Malians, you can go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. Just to understand, so as we will have our vaccinators and our data clocks that will support, the administrative process, our data clocks can also have access to EVDS. It's not just the vaccinators. And then when we then need to report daily on the total vaccinations done versus the survey 1, 2, 3 versus the other, this is where my coordinator or vaccinator can come for the specific facility or sub-district, or to pull what was the total vaccinations for the day, if they had to report how many they vaccinated in total today, to see that EVDS is the same as the tick register that they will be using. Am I getting that correctly?
Yes, I think what I need to just add is that the only person who can generate the reports on the EVDS is the person that you assign to be the patient administrator. They will be given the patient administrator rights. So whether you are project coordinator or the manager, those titles will work better when you're doing operations on the other side. But if you're on the EVDS, the person who will be assigned, it could still be that the coordinator is assigned the role of patient administrator for the purposes of retrieving those reports. But yes, it's important that at the end of the day, you prepare that report. At the end of the day, you compare that the system shows that if you did 20, the system must also show that there is 20 records that were brought into the system. If there is a difference, then it means you need to try and figure out who amongst your team members might be struggling to capture things correctly and take corrective action.
Thank you, that's clear. I remember the previous slide saying 2 roles cannot be the same. Just want to confirm, say I am, and sorry for my ignorance, we are new to this, but if you are, say, the approver or the curator on the master facility list side, it won't have any problem to be then the patient administrator. You can have the same person can have different roles.
It's if you are curator is found in the MFL. That's not a problem because that's a different system. You need different login credentials there to access the system. So if you are doing MFL process, it doesn't interfere with what happens on Onsite EVDS. What is wrong is for you to have, remember on Onsite EVDS, we have vaccinator, patient admin, and back capturing administrator. Those are the 3 main roles. So you can't be vaccinator and patient administrator at the same time. That is not allowed because you're having 2 roles within the same system. But if you are curator or MFL representative on that side, and then you can still come this side and be the vaccinator, it's allowed.
That is very helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So we're going to quickly move on to the role of vaccinator. Right now, when I'm going to log out, right? I'm going to log out and log in as, I'm going to log out and then log in as vaccinator, right? So as vaccinator, my username, what am I doing? This mouse is becoming slippery right now. I'm going to do this. And my password. Right, I'm going to log in. So as soon as I log in again, I have to specify to set myself up, right? And specify where I'm working from. I'm working from Helen Joseph. As vaccinator, I have to search for a patient is the starting thing that I need to do. I need to specify, okay, let's look for that. Let's look for that ID number again. Right, we're still gonna search for the same patient, right? There is Malan. We can see that Malan is, okay, let's specify, let's just go deep into see more details about Malan. Like I indicated, colleagues, the physical address is no longer, you can't see everything now. You can see that there's these asterisks that partially cover the phone number and the medical aid number. This is done for protection. You'll see this, but it's still possible to edit. If somebody says that number which starts with 08 or that ends with a 36, I'm no longer using it. You can still go to edit info there, and then you can still just remove that number and then type in the new number. But this will happen. This partial masking of information is done to protect the information. You must just remember that. Now, what's going to happen now is that I'm going to confirm. Remember, now I'm vaccinator. I want to see the vaccination history. And if I click here, I can't see anything. Why? Because I still need to confirm the patient details. So I select confirm. I have confirmed that the patient information is correct and the voucher number presented is this one. I select confirm. And now as vaccinator, you can see that there is this button and there's also this one for register a vaccination. If you're patient admin, you don't have this button for registering vaccination. That speaks to what I mentioned earlier on, which is to say there will be different roles for different user accounts on the system. So if you scroll up here, the reporting button is not there for vaccinator. You're not gonna see it. Why? Because you need to get your reports through the patient administrator. You're going to have to talk to them so that you get reports. So now that I've confirmed details, I can go to vaccination history and check the vaccination history for this patient. And we can see that in South Africa, they didn't receive anything, but they did receive Pfizer in Australia. And we can still see that they're eligible. So we can proceed to give them the vaccine. So I'm going to select the button for register a vaccination. So I'm going to, okay, before I think, let me just check the patient summary again. Okay, I can see, I just wanted to check that. Now, what I can do now is select register a vaccination. So as soon as you select register a vaccination, the system by default assumes that you are performing a live vaccination, right? So what happens is that when you look at this information here, it says it already puts in the date as today, and then the time, it also puts the actual time right now, which is 2:27. So if it happens that you are vaccinated, but at this moment you are actually back capturing something that you did earlier on or the day before, you need to select this button here, which says back capture. If I select this, because right now, if I try to click on this part and change the date, it's not possible. Not possible to change the date or time. I can hear somebody talking there. Could you please mute yourself? Now, if you click on this back capturing button, what happens is that a question? I'm assuming it's not a question. I can't see hands or I can't see comments at this point. Apologies for that. I'll be able to check that at the end of this demo. So if you switch on the back capture button, if you click on this date, now it's possible to change the date. It's also possible to change the time. I can actually remove this and remove that and put the actual time. And then I can actually type in here the name of the vaccinator, the person that was vaccinating, and then if it's back capturing, I can continue. Yeah. But now I want to switch back to live because I'm not back capturing. I want to do this as a live vaccination. So I'm going to proceed to obtain health background. First question. Now I think the most important thing about this section is that your instinct as a medical practitioner, whether you're a nurse or a pharmacist or a doctor, kicks in at this point because this question should mean something to you and to the patient, and you know what to do with the information that comes out of those questions. So the first questions: are you sick today? You select yes. If you select yes, then you have to provide details here. What is the sickness about? You provide details. You know that better than myself, and then you continue to the next question. But in my case, I'm just going to be selecting no for all of these questions because I am not a medical practitioner myself. I'm just a training specialist. So I'm going to select no all the way. On this question number 11, it says, do you have any chronic conditions? If you say yes, you can select any one of according to what the patient tells you. If there's something that's not listed, you select other, and then you specify what that particular, excuse me. But I'm gonna still stick to my no because of my limited knowledge on these medical issues. Now, question number 12, female vaccine recipients only. Do you suspect that you might be pregnant today? So if the answer to this question is I don't know, or if the answer is yes, you select, it's the same option that you select. It says if the answer is yes or unknown, you need to indicate when you had your last menstrual period. But if it's a no, you just select a no. That's where it ends. But in this case, we have a male patient. So we select male, not applicable, as our response to this question. Now, as I said, the statement here at the bottom says, considering the answers provided and the patient's medical background, does the vaccinator wish to proceed with vaccinating this patient? If the answer is no, let me select no. Okay, it says, it's showing me that here it says, please enter or select a value. I didn't select the answer here. So the system is built in such a way that it will, if you miss up some questions, the system will take you to that question so that you answer all of the questions. Okay, I've selected that and corrected. So now we go back to that bottom question or statement. Considering that the answers provided in the patient's medical background, does the vaccinator wish to proceed with vaccinating the patient? And I said I'm selecting no for argument's sake. So if you say no, it brings up this dialog box where you have to enter the reasons. So you can specify as a medical practitioner that I think this patient is not ready to receive this vaccine because of 1, 2, 3. You state all those things that you had, and then you say you go on to proceed to say end the vaccination registration, in which case it will take you to the beginning where you search for another patient. However, in my case, I want to continue. So I'm going to select this continue vaccination. I'll change my answer from no to yes here. And then it will take me to the next step, which is recording informed consent. So when you record informed consent, you start by specifying the vaccine type. So if I specify there, Pfizer, and then some information about this vaccine will show up here. It's written in English, but you have to communicate this information to the patient. And as health practitioners, I think you already know this, and you know what to say to the patient in the language that they understand. At the bottom here, it says, I need to check this box, right? If I check this box, I am confirming that the vaccinator has read and explained the above to the patient. So I'm going to check this box. And then as soon as I do that, it brings up the information about obtaining consent. Again, you have to give out this information to the patient, all of it. And then at the end of it, it says, does the patient consent to being vaccinated? If the answer is no, it means the process comes to an end and you start looking for another patient. But if the answer is yes, like I'm going to select yes, it will take us to the stage where we need to register a vaccination, right? And the first part about registering a vaccination is that you can see here in bold, it says, please ensure that you administer the vaccine to the patient before completing this information in the next section. It's just a reminder. If you decide to go ahead with putting all the information and assuming that the patient will agree, because you've been telling the patient a lot about this informed consent, about the side effects and so on, it's possible that they might change their mind because in their head, they're still grappling with all those things that you told them. They can say, no, I think I want to come back after 1 week or maybe another time. And at that point, you can't force a patient to say, no, but I've recorded. I want to administer the vaccine. It's not allowed. You will be breaking the law by doing that. So you start by administering the vaccine, and then you continue with this section, which says, you select this part here, say, I confirm that the vaccine has been administered to the patient by checking this box. And then you specify that which document did the patient present, you specify which document, and then you go on to specify the vaccine batch number. It's there in the packaging. If there's a serial number, you put that serial number as well, and the expiry date and the manufacturing date, you make sure that it's also correct as well. And then you come down to this button here, which says register a vaccination. You select this, it takes you to this part where it says you have successfully captured the vaccination information, and it provides all the vaccination number and your details and so on. And the last thing is to select this finish button. Select finish, and then it takes us to the beginning where we search for another patient. That sort of means we have vaccinated this patient and we are pretty much done. I think one thing that we normally do, if I can just bring back the information of this patient again, is we normally sometimes we need to record an adverse event. So you search for the patient. We normally ask the patient to wait for 15 minutes. We observe them before they can go away. So if it happens that Malan had an adverse reaction, what you do is you look for their profile. Now, when you search for Malan, you can see that it's saying not eligible. Why? Because it's even showing that they received a vaccine today. And it means they have to wait for 21 days before they get the second dose and so on. So I'm going to still open the profile of this individual, and then I'll confirm the details like I've done. And then I'm going to say confirm patient details. I want to get to this part which says vaccination history, right? Under vaccination history, South Africa, we can see this record is now there that we administered the vaccine. If we go to where it says vaccination details, which is here, click on that, we can see who vaccinated, what was the vaccine, and the date, and so on. Now, the most important thing here is this button here, where it says adverse events history, and then there is this button to say add adverse events. So if we select this button, it brings up this dialog box where it says, the vaccinator, confirmed that the patient has been observed for adverse events. So I'm going to check this box. Were there any adverse events associated with this vaccination? I will select a yes. And then it says, I have submitted the required documentation for the adverse events. I'm going to select a yes again. Now, what this means is that at a health facility, at a clinic, we expect that there will be patient records files. So it means you have to make sure that that adverse event is recorded into that file, and you make sure that it goes into the patient file. So you confirm here and say, yes, you've actually submitted that documentation. And then you select this button here, which says add. So if you select add, we can see that the adverse events has now been added here. There it is. And it's been captured by me, the vaccinator. Now that sort of completes the vaccinator process on EVDS. I can now say 7 exit. In which case now I can look for, okay, as patient, as vaccinator, I can go to my name there and find the help button so that it takes me to the EVDS user manual. I can actually download that for myself. I don't need the patient admin to do that. It's possible for me to do that on my own. So at this point, it means the demo is done. I'm going to pause and check for questions again. Let me just go to the platform. Colleagues, I saw that there's only 7 people that registered, and I'm worried because we need. I was checking the register. There's only 7 people. Please follow the web link and register. I know that maybe the other group that is joining from one device, they will record or register at the end once we're done, but let's make sure everybody who attended training actually registers. So I don't see any hands or comments on the chat, so I'm going to proceed to share the final slides that I have. We go back to that presentation. Right, so we ended here when we're talking about going to the demo. We're done with the demo. I'm going to now jump on to user support package. Now, user support package is about training materials that are available for participants to access, right? We're not going to be emailing, but we are going to ask you to access them. And where do you access these? You go to, if you look at the bottom of the screen here, there is this website. It's called hissupport.health.gov.za. So if you go to this website and go to the section which says knowledge base, you will see a list of topics, many of them. Some are going to be EVDS, some are not going to be EVDS, but you look for EVDS, and under EVDS ecosystem, look for on-site EVDS, patient administrator, and vaccinator training. Now, what are you going to find there? You will find some PDF documents called, we call them the cheat sheets, and the quick reference guides, as well as some frequently asked questions. They come in the PDF format. You can download those. They just provide more information about the processes that you follow in terms of your role as patient admin and vaccinator. And we also have video clips, right? There are short video clips which show step by step the things that I was demonstrating when I was logging in and going into the system. But we also have a full recording of a 2-hour session of a training similar to the one that we are doing. And you can actually access those. The links are on this website, but they're actually on YouTube, and then you can actually watch and remind yourself about the on-site EVDS processes. So it's important that you remember to go on to this website and access, download, or view from the website the resources. Now, the final part of this training is to talk about some troubleshooting issues, where we ask the question, have you tried? Are you struggling with logging in? We ask the question, have you tried to activate your account by following the link that was sent to your email? Have you tried resetting your password through the forgot password link? I think I did show us that password link, which is below the login button. Have you cleared the cache on your machine by accessing the settings of your web browser? That sort of helps to improve the processing or the speed of your access to the EVDS. If you're not sure what to do next, we ask, have you tried looking for a user manual that is accessible through the help button on EVDS. I've showed us that help button, where to find it. And have you referred to your training materials that are available on this web link? I think I showed us this web link earlier on again. It's hissupport.health.gov.za. What should you keep an eye out for? You need to make sure your device is recorded at the correct vaccination site. When leaving your workstation, remember to log out of EVDS. Keep your EVDS password a secret. Do not share or make use of password saving on the web browser. Do not allow unauthorized users to work on EVDS. Remember to keep all patient information confidential. And lastly, and most importantly, only register a vaccination on EVDS after you've administered the vaccine to the patient. If you don't do that, then you can be sure that you're introducing an inaccurate or a wrong record onto the EVDS. And that's something that we do not want. And that's something that's going to take away a lot of our time trying to fix it after it's been done the incorrect way. Okay, this is the final moment for questions and answers. And I'm going to go back to MS Teams and check if there are final questions or comments on the chat platform. And it says here, okay, there's a question. It says here there's a question. Good afternoon, apologies for joining late. I wanted to check in with you. How our staff at Think will get the EVDS credentials? Are you going to register them? Or how does the process work? Also, we have an M&E coordinator. Will she be the person assigned to have access to generate reports? I think you need to sit down as a team and decide who is going to be our patient administrator, who is going to be our vaccinator, and so that you need to decide as a team what's going to work better, because you're going to go to the field. If somebody is doing this part, another person has to be doing that part. That decision doesn't come from me, it comes from you as a team to say, we now understand the EVDS system and process, how it's supposed to work. How are we going to arrange our operations so that we're able to do our work effectively? Now, how are you going on the issue of credentials? I think there was a slide which spoke about how to access credentials specifically for on-site EVDS. If we are talking about on-site EVDS, you need to know whether you're going to be a primary facility or secondary facility. In most cases, I've noticed that people become secondary facilities, meaning to say you become linked to a site that is already existing, already storing vaccines. So you get to be linked to that facility. So what you need to do is to go to that facility, find out who is the account creator. I'm assuming that you already have a relationship or an arrangement with them. They will tell you who is the account creator. Alternatively, you can contact the provincial coordinator, but going through the province will be a longer route. It's still possible to do, but if you already know which facility you're going to be working with, you talk to management there, they will tell you who is the account creator and account approver, and then they will sort you out on the people that you've nominated to become vaccinator and patient admin, and as well as back capturing administrator. So at this point, I think there was a hand as I was starting to read the comment here. I don't know if I've answered this question correctly, but I saw that there was a hand. Is that you, Crystal? You can go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, I joined the meeting to see and to be trained on how to link sites to a back capturer's account. Is that something that you cover, or is it another training session?
To link what? To link a
Link
site.
sites to the back capturer's account.
Okay, the back capturer is found on the on-site EVDS. But the issue of linking sites or linking individuals to sites, I think it happens on the MFL platform, which is going to be a different training.
Okay, thank you.
But what I can say, have you attended training, MFL training before?
I
It's called
don't
master facility list training.
I don't recall that. I'm a newly appointed account creator. And so now I just need to know how to make a back capturer's account and how to link the sites to the back capturer's account.
Okay, in that case, you don't have to. If you're saying you're account creator and you can actually create that particular training will be an extended session for this particular training, right? I'm going to have to check if I have credentials for account creator. I do have, but the password, it's never been used for almost a year and a half. So what can happen is I will need to check my credentials and then try to log in as account creator. I think for a long time, we've never done the account creator, account approver part because most people never needed that part. But if you're saying you're account creator and you need us to go through that, we can do some extended training for it. Maybe what you can do is you can send me an email just so that I have it in my calendar, and then I can just check for my credentials, see if they're still working, and then we can take you to the next part, which is about creating accounts. But most people normally don't need it. I think all of last year we never did it. I think it was done in 2021 when we were just starting, and it was done by somebody else, but I think it's possible to do again.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're going to...
If I can add, I think there is a need because as partners now with the contract that was just given out to support with the extended, scale up and operations up to September, as different partners in the different districts who just starting up. My understanding is we will be the account creators, meaning where our mobile teams are going out, we have to go into the master facility. I attended the master facility list training. So what I got from there is that you first get yourself onto, but now you say it's two different systems. Because what I understood is you create the facility.
It's the same system. I hadn't understood the comment. I didn't understand the comment, but it's the same system based on what Crystal has said. It's the account creator is within the same system, which is on-site EVDS. Yeah.
All right, because what I think we're just getting confused between, as it is our first time engaging, and my understanding is as roving teams, we need to, you have your parent facility and we need to then link in and go and create a child facility that is then called by our name, our partner name for the roving team, say roving team 1 Broadreach, and then only once it's approved, it will then show on EVDS, so that if my vaccinator works from that facility or in that facility catchment, that they can select the Broadreach mobile team as on the drop down at that facility, so that they are able to then link the vaccinations to our team's efforts. As Right to Care would want to know that this is the proportion of vaccinations you as a partner has done of the total facility vaccinations.
Yes, I agree. The training can be arranged specifically to cover the role of account creator and account approver. What I was clarifying earlier on is that this training session was for patient administrator, vaccinator, and back capturing administrator roles. Right. So we've managed to demonstrate those three roles. In fact, I think there was a step, I think when I was performing the vaccinator role, I got to a stage where we were supposed to register vaccinations, right? Where you need to specify whether you're back capturing or you're performing the vaccination event live. I think from that point on, I was supposed to mention to you colleagues, and I must apologize that I didn't mention it to you, that from that point on, where you indicate whether you're back capturing or you're doing it live, that particular stage for vaccinator and for back capturing administrator are the same. So I consider this training to have covered the three roles, which is patient admin, patient vaccinator, and then back capturing administrator. Because what the back capturing administrator does is they are doing the work that was supposed to be done by the vaccinator, but the vaccinator was unable to do it because maybe there was no connectivity, maybe there was no electricity, whatever the reason. But that stage going forward for vaccinator and for back capturing administrator is the same. Now, if you're saying you want training for account creator and account approver roles, we can arrange that, but it's normally either a separate training or an extended training session to this one. So that's why I was asking you to indicate by way of email that you need account creator and account approver training, so that I have it on my, or if I have it on my email, then I'll put it on a calendar. I'll make preparations for it, and then I will advise and propose dates in which we can do it. I hope that should work for you. I'm coming back to you, Robin, but I just want to be sure with Crystal and Malian. Is that okay?
That would be great.
Okay.
That would be
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Let's go to Robin.
Hi. So I'm just agreeing with Crystal and them. I think the Think team would also need to be in their training, because most of our staff, some of them have previously worked on EVDS, but they need a refresher training, and they also need to know how to be registered as an EVDS user under Think.
Okay.
So yeah, I think their training is quite important, because they won't be able to do jabs in arms if they're not registered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll have to arrange a session for account creator and account approver, and then once it's set up, we'll make sure that we invite everybody who needs it to join in. I suppose that's sort of. I don't see any other. I'm just looking at the time we left with a minute. Okay, let's go back to Malian.
Can I have a last question? Thank you.
Yes.
So for my vaccinators, as they are starting next week, and my admin staff, they have to attend this training so that they know how to then do the vaccinations and how to capture. And then if for the account creator, it's more the management person who will be creating the accounts for the staff that needs to attend that one. But for a person to be qualified to come onto the system and capture a vaccine, this is the training they need to attend. Sorry
Yes.
for being ignorant, but just
Yes.
wanted to be sure.
Yes, that's correct. To be honest with you, like I've indicated, it's been over a year we've been doing this training. We've never had a situation where we needed to train account creators and account approvers. I think the last time we did it was about a year ago. But again, I accept that if there is a request for the training, then we are going to prepare to do it. I'm going to be checking if the credentials are still functioning, and then we make sure that we perform the training for you. So if you if you want to administer vaccines, that is, this training that we've just completed is suitable for that. You will be able to do that. The account creators and the account approvers, they are the ones that make sure that you have enough vaccinators, you have enough patient administrators. So that is their role. And I expect it to be for, not for everybody, but for a few, maybe people that are coordinators or managers who are going to be responsible for creating accounts. That's my expectation, but yeah.
Thank you. That is clear. So the next training for this session, if we have all our staff, and there's maybe some staff that is new to the program, when would you be running this one again?
It's done every Thursday. You just send me
Every
an email
Thursday.
and then every Thursday. Right, as I speak, as of today, the plan is to do it every Thursday. Maybe that decision will be reviewed in future, but for now, every Thursday we will always have on-site EVDS training.
Thank you so much. Thanks for all the help.
Okay.
Hi.
So,
Sorry, it's Robin.
okay, Robin, go ahead.
I joined late, so I really apologize for that because I was in the other meeting, the ADAPT weekly meeting. I just want to confirm, so the training that you did today was for those people that will be out in the field providing vaccine rollout. So whether it be the data capturer, the professional nurse, and the enrolled nurse, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. So from the fact that they've attended the training, you went through a step-by-step process of how to register a patient if a patient hasn't done the self-registration process. You went through that already.
We didn't cover the process about how you do self-registration. We didn't cover that part. We covered the part on what a vaccinator does as soon as they log onto the system. What do they do? And patient administrator, as soon as you log into the system, what do you do? But at that point, the assumption is that the people that arrive at a health facility would have registered. But in the event that they haven't registered, you are supposed to assist them to register, but we don't cover that part, that demonstration to say this is how you register. Remember, you register through WhatsApp or USSD, or you also use a web link, but we didn't cover that part, no.
Yeah, I must say from my experience, most people don't know how to do the self-registration. So they present for a vaccine and they haven't done the self-registration. So the administrator, the first person that sees the patient, would help to assist the patient quickly, just to quickly register them before they then go through the screening process to say they want to be vaccinated and then registered into EVDS.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Yeah, I'm saying that may be true. I agree that may be true, but that the training was not meant to cover that part.
Okay. And then the second question is from today's training, because the Thinkers hasn't started doing jabs. We only just appointed our staff now. So my question is are you going to register the enrolled nurses, the ENAs, and the data capturers as EVDS users, and will you be giving them codes, or is that another process that we have to do?
That is another process that you have to do. I think I was explaining earlier on to say you need to find out who is your primary facility. And primary facility, it's where you get your vaccines. If you are responsible for your vaccines, meaning to say you store your vaccines, then you should be the ones responsible to directly communicate with the province or national so that you are provided with account creator and account approver roles, like Crystal has indicated. If you have your account creator and account approver, then you're responsible for creating your vaccinator, your patient administrator, and so on.
And maybe I can just add, the master facility list training covers that. I attended that earlier this week. It covered how to register and then submit a form to be approved as a curator and a coordinator, and then you will be responsible, if I'm correct, if I'm not confused.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And the question for, is it Robin? Are you going to be a primary facility, meaning to say you are going to be responsible for your vaccines, or you're going to be taking vaccines from an established hospital or clinic?
Yeah, no, because we are sub-granted, we got to work at facility level, so we will be taking the vaccines from the facilities.
You won't be storing your own vaccines, that is?
No, we'll collect them in the morning and drop them off in the afternoon.
Okay, in that case, it means you're not a primary facility. Maybe MFL might not be required for you, but what you need to do is to figure out who are the primary facilities, because with those primary facilities, if they are already having vaccines and they're involved in the vaccination programs, they will have account creators and account approvers, and those account creators and account approvers are the ones that are supposed to assist you so that your vaccination site or your mobile vaccination team is linked first to the facility, and then once it's linked, account patient administrators for that mobile site that is linked gets to be created.
Okay. So the teams that are working on the field, because yes, we are supporting a specific facility, but the teams will be out without those facilities. They'll be out in outreach, doing door-to-door, going to schools. And so the staff would have to still capture patients onto EVDS.
Yes.
So where will they get those codes to go into the EVDS system?
I think that's what I was just explaining. I think you need to attend MFL training. It happens every 2 weeks on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So I think it should help you to understand what a primary site is and what a secondary site is, and the processes that sort of are followed. I say this is what I was explaining because I said you need to know, because you've indicated that you won't be keeping your own vaccines. You need to figure out which facilities, from which facilities are we going to get our vaccines? And once you figure out those facilities, you will be able to be assisted by those facilities to get access. because they have account creators and account approvers. They will make sure that they will assist you so that you are linked. That is on the system, that is. You are linked to their facility, and then they also create patient administrator accounts and vaccinator accounts.
Okay. Okay.
Good evening, Begim Ndlovu.
Good evening, how are you?
Yes, Lindo Gusha speaking
Is it
from
evening? Is it evening already? I think it's still afternoon.
afternoon. Sorry. I've got two quick basic questions. Firstly, what if the patient does not have a mobile cell phone? Can he? Secondly, is it okay if a patient says?
Sorry, I think there was a break there. I didn't hear what you said. Can you repeat what you said? Can you repeat the first question?
Oh, the question. Yes. What if the patient does not have a mobile cell phone? Can he or she be vaccinated? The second question is it okay if the patient says he or she was for the first time, but they don't have their ID with them? They know, for example, they know their ID numbers. How risky is that in terms of getting false information?
If a patient doesn't have a cell phone, they should be vaccinated. And how they do that is that the guidance is that health facilities must make sure they assist people who are not registered. So you need to designate someone at a health facility. It could be that you are mobile, but one team member amongst you should be responsible for making sure that people who come and registered, as long as they bring in identification documents to say, I am so and so, and I live in this address, you assist them to register. And once they are registered, it means their information is in the EVDS. You can proceed to have them vaccinated. And then for people that do not have identification, my advice is that you should not vaccinate them, because it usually leads to lots of problems. If you don't have identification, how do we know that we are vaccinating the correct person? So you need to bring identification so that it's confirmed. Except for, I think there is an exception, and it came from the department as well, which is to say, for undocumented, there are people that we call undocumented citizens. Such individuals are identified as people. It's mostly people from outside South Africa. They do not have passport or identification documents. It's permissible for you to register those, but it's not an ordinary person that registers those. You need to have what we call undocumented citizen administrator role, and that role belongs to registration and scheduling, and there's a separate training for it. So if somebody is falls into the category of what we call undocumented citizens, they cannot be registered ordinarily by somebody that doesn't have that particular role. But for the people that have got identification, we know that it's very easy. If somebody produces identification, you just take that identification information, you go onto the system and register them. I don't know if that covers you.
Peggy.
Hello?
Yes, Peggy. For the vaccine eligibility, let us assume the patient has just vaccinated and goes to another facility for vaccination. Is it advisable to check on the EVDS if he or she is eligible for vaccination, or you should just vaccinate for the sake of getting numbers?
it's advisable to check
Patient.
before you vaccinate anyone. You don't vaccinate without first checking. You need to go onto the EVDS using the identification number. You check the record. You confirm that what the patient is saying is correct, which is to say, I received a vaccine before. They will tell you what type of vaccine, and when you enter the system, you will see that yes, this person did receive this one. Maybe they received 2 doses, but on the system you can only see 1, or maybe you can see everything. Then you can proceed, right? But if you just vaccinate people without checking, you end up with inaccurate information in the EVDS.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I think I'm more inclined to say thank you to close the session, and thank you for attending. It's now 16 minutes over the time, but I suppose sometimes it's not always easy to keep things within the time. So I must say thank you for attending, and I hope that you will register so that we have a record that you attended training. If you're having any challenges, feel free to reach out, and we will, as much as possible, try to assist you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.